What's going on, guys? I'm here with my employee, buddy, and business partner, Cam Minier, and we are going to be talking about, kind of the path that we took to build a business pretty much from the ground up. There's a few different sides to it, so we're going to hear both sides. Hope you enjoy.
My name's Cam Minier. Obviously, like you heard, I'm the employee, the business partner, the buddy of Ben Zogby. And so about 3 months ago, I signed with Ben to help him grow his business. Ben did all the hard work. I just came and,
Not at all. Don't listen to
I'm here for the grading train.
So I think we're going to take this podcast as an opportunity to kind of record some of our thoughts. We realized shooting some ideas back and forth that we really could get some powerful messages out there. And so I think today we're going to be talking about passive income and how it doesn't exist.
So we just recorded a video on this for YouTube and how, $1,000 in passive income really isn't going to get you that far.
Yeah, so the topic of the video was, what can you invest in with $1,000 that's going to pay you passively? And pretty much the answer was you can either do dividend stocks, right? You can put some money into some stocks and get a check 3-4 times a year for about $30, or you can invest in real estate, which you can't really do with $1,000. But other than that, everything that you do is active income. So one of the ideas that we were throwing around is like the fact that people think that passive income is this thing where, it's like the key to retirement at the age of 30. And, you can set up passive income for yourself and you'll be set for life. It's just not true.
We actually broke it down for Bank of, or do you remember the bank?
Bank of Nova Scotia.
Yeah, we broke it down. It would take 5 years if you invested $1,000 into Bank of Nova Scotia to pay for your $1,000 back in dividends. So with $1,000, investing in a dividend stock just doesn't seem like the best option.
Yeah, I've seen someone take $1,000 and make investments in other things, active investments, and return that $1,000 in weeks, months, not 5 years. So I think we're going to be talking about some of those things today in terms of, where can you really put that money and get a better return out of it than putting it in some stock and waiting 5 years.
Just going back to you with the news articles that we've been having written, $2.7 million business in 18 months. So already, that's a little bit of you had probably around $1,000 startup cost. So that's already a much better return than, the alternative to dividend stocks, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. So putting that $1,000 in a business for me, the strategy there was, invest in something active. It's more of a front-end business model. It's not necessarily passive. So for the front-end business model, it's more, hey, let's load up my time, opportunity cost, and maybe a little bit of money in something off the bat, work at it for a few years, and then, the back-end business model is something that'll pay you, for the rest of your life. So kind of what I did there was I am a stock trader, and that's my skill. So thought, let's share the skill with the world and in exchange, make a little bit of money off of it. So I learned a lot of things in the process, and one of the things I learned is like there are much better ways to spend $1,000 than buying dividend stocks.
For sure.
First of all, a lot of people will tell you don't fund a trading account, but personally, I'd rather fund a trading account with $1,000 than put $1,000 in dividend stocks.
Because at least with that, it's like compounding. So you turn $1,000 into $1,500. Now you get to work with $1,500,
right?
Instead of with dividend stocks, it just sits like that unless you put more money in physically.
Right. Unless you're going to blow it, which a lot of people do. But yeah, a much better use of your time and money is to build something for yourself. 100%. So a lot of ideas that I see being thrown around are like, hey, let's invest in real estate. And you really don't have enough money with $1,000. And a lot of you guys that are probably listening are like, you saw the title of this, it's investing with $1,000. It's not investing with $100,000, right? That's a whole different ballgame. $1,000, you need to think small ball. Like, how can I use most or all of this money to do one thing well? You can't really diversify $1,000. You got to kind of use it and pour it all into one thing. And that goes back to one of the things we were talking about last week is like, if you're just starting out, if you don't have, a vat of wealth to pull from, you're better off focusing really hard on one thing and kind of just narrowing down on that thing. Like we like to say, take a magnifying glass and start a fire by, using the sun and taking that magnifying glass and really just zeroing in on one thing. And I know you agree with that too.
Yeah, and I think I forgot who I heard it from, but one of the things that I heard from someone, I think I was even listening to another podcast, but they said If you're making like $50,000, $100,000 a year, you're going to be much better off figuring out how to save $5,000 than try to like passively make another 5,000.
Right.
So, and with that saved money, you want to obviously go put that into building your business that's going to cash flow you more so that you actually have some capital to invest in some passive income. But unless you have a whole bunch of capital to invest, I just don't think, below a certain point, I just don't even think it's worth it.
Yeah.
The return anyways.
I guess what they said is, and I've kind of found this to be true, but the first 100K is the hardest thing that you'll encounter. Million is, a little bit easier than 100K, and then 10 million is even easier. The road to 100K for me was, fairly straightforward. I found the road from 100K to a million was a little bit tougher. It's just my experience, but in general, like if your net worth is under 100K, you're better off, like you said, Cam, trying to find ways to save money and, save an extra $5,000 a year. It only takes $30 a day to blow 10 grand in a year. So if you can save that extra $30 and your net worth's less than 100K, think about that. You're saving 10% extra on top of that. And, it's just going to go so much further in you being able to establish something for yourself, just like creating assets for yourself. So a business, stocks, I guess, are an asset, and skills are the other asset that, people overlook. I think
digital
a skill,
real estate.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like, the road from 0 to 100K is super easily achievable by one person, but then the road from 100K to a million, there's a huge mindset shift that has to happen there, where you don't necessarily have to, but bringing on other people to help you and help build the business just makes it go a lot easier. Like I know a couple months ago, I signed on with you, Ben. We were able to, boost sales a little bit, and now you have someone helping out with ads. You have someone helping on the back end.
Yeah.
How did that help you go from 20 to 40K a month to now doing $100,000 months?
Yeah, exactly like you said. Like building something to 100K by yourself is great. It's achievable. But if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, you got to go with a team. So like, I don't have enough hours in the day or the mindset or expertise to learn what you do for me. Cam edits all my videos and literally makes the page presentable and pretty much funnels sales down into the business. But I'm not able to do that part of it. And just because I don't do it well, it doesn't mean that it can't get done. It means everything comes down to a couple of things. You can if you want something done, you either do it yourself and spend your time doing it, or you can pay someone to do it and spend your money. And so, after you get your foot in the door, it doesn't make sense to keep doing all these money-saving things just to save money, right? When you could have someone do it more efficiently.
You can buy time.
Exactly. Buy other people's hours. One of the things that I don't think I did too well off the bat is investing in other people. Like you were just saying, I was extremely hard-nosed, and it's really hard to go from the shift of thinking about saving that extra $5,000 a year to build something for yourself, and then going from that, and once you hit a certain threshold, absolutely 360ing that and saying, I want to spend as much money as possible in developing the business. It's a fine line, and you have to know when to turn that gas on. So for me, I would, just like you said, the mindset of saving $5,000 extra a year is going to help you plant your seed. But that's awesome. If the seed is planted,
now you have to grow the seed.
Exactly. It took me so long. I think, what was it, 3 meetups between me and you for me to actually sign you?
We'll break it down. I actually went to go buy a new car, and then I realized I was going right by where Ben lives. So I was like, yo, want to meet up? And he's like, yeah, sure. We had coffee, and then I kind of showed him what I did, and then he showed me what he did. And, we kicked it off pretty well. And then I went on another trip, and I was like, yo, want to swing by, shoot some content? He's like, yeah, let's go for it. And then so I actually was not going to do that because it was kind of out of the way. But then Ben was like, yo, I got some great stuff to shoot. I was like, all right, I got to do it. So I ended up coming by. And then, after I established that trust and it showed the value that I could provide to Ben, then Ben was like, all right, I can see this benefiting my business, took the jump, and then boom, first month, sales doubled.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, one of the best investments I've ever made. But shifting my mindset to saying, all right, I'm going to pay someone's salary right now, after I was just trying to save $5,000 a year to plant the seed, is the hardest thing to move yourself to do as someone that's a new business owner. And
because it's a big expense.
It's a huge expense.
Because even a couple months ago, imagine spending whatever, 10 grand a month, on me, would you have considered that, when your business was making 20 grand a month?
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, exactly. And now look where you are. Now you have me, you have people running your ads, you have people running your back end. From that, it's sparked and it's grown. And, now it's to a sustainable place where you're paying other people. You're probably going to bring more people on the team as well and just keep on growing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I now pay you about 10,000. I pay a couple other people a total of like 15,000. So the overhead's about 25K. The overhead is more than I was making before I hired all those people. So it's a tough bridge to get onto. You can't just assume all of that, all of those expenses without proving to yourself that those investments are going to pay off. As a business owner, you need to know that what you're investing in is going to help your business. So, it makes sense if you're someone that is trying to fall into that mindset to do it gradually. So I think what I did with you, Cam, it was the first contract we signed was, I believe, video to video. And it was like, okay, I need someone to do this, but I'm not willing to dump a full person's salary, 120K on you just yet, because that's money that the business, that's about half the revenue of the year of the business.
Exactly. And that was back in, I think it was November, when we kind of like reached out and I was like, yo, I want to shoot something. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And then it ended up not working out. And then maybe 3 months later, I came back, tried again. Your business had grown substantially in that amount of time. You'd seen a substantial amount of sales, sustainable amount of sales. And then I think that really helped you in making the jump. And I initially came in kind of at a low price, and the risk to reward ratio there was really solid.
For sure. Yeah, I think the moral of the story here is like, it's going to be a mindset shift that has to happen in your own mind. It's not something that we can tell people like, hey, you got to invest in your business. You got to spend money on people without them realizing it.
It's like, easy to go about in your head like, oh yeah, obviously I got to invest in people. But then when it comes time to hand out the cash, it's a different story.
That's a real check right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even for me, like I pay some other people as well to help out with, what I'm doing. And that's no easy task, especially being like 18. And it's like, I have this money coming in, it's super exciting. And now I have to like pay this money out.
Yeah.
And but you see the reward in the end. You're like, wow, that saved me so much time. And also you have the joy of being able to help out that other person too.
Yeah.
Like, this guy doesn't have to go work a 9 to 5, and he's able to, learn new skills. He's able to take another step towards creating his future. So
absolutely.
I know for me, that's something I really enjoy doing. And it's, having the opportunity to do that is incredible, really.
For sure. I think we move at an exceptional pace. Like we said earlier, if you want to go fast, you go ahead, do it alone. But if you want to go far, you got to do it with a team. And there's no real exceptions to that. There's never been a business that, sustained and was valued at, a high number, over $1 million, that didn't have multiple moving parts.
A team.
Yeah. So if you think you can do everything by yourself, it's true to a certain point.
And you should be able to know how to do everything yourself so that people are doing a quality job.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean you have to go do everything yourself.
Right. Yeah. Eventually, it makes sense to outsource that.
Outsource.
I was talking to one of my good friends, Trenton, who was actually doing ads for me, told me something really smart. He said, first you fight to get something. You fight to get something up on the table, right? That's making you money. And you just need, you're going from zero to something.
You need that first source.
You just got to get something on the table that's going to pay you. And then after you have it on the table, then you can shape it. Then you say, okay, is this going in the direction that I want? Am I giving the right vibe to people? Because, realistically, if your reach is under 10,000 people, realistically, whatever you're putting out there is probably not your end result, probably not the way your business is going to be going. So my recommendation to all you guys that are like starting a business and don't know where to take it, do it alone until you have something on the table. Once you get something on the table, then you have to sit down and ask yourself, where do I see this going? Do I want to continue on the path that I'm going? And then that's when you build your team. That's when you start to outsource some stuff. Once you have the paycheck, it pretty much, you start to hire a team and make it go in the direction that you want.
I think the biggest realization that I came to is, where I'm at now, I edit videos and pictures and all that stuff. And, obviously there's so many hours I have in a day, and coming to the realization that unless I have someone fill my shoes, there's no way that I can keep moving forward, because, everyone has their ceilings, and you literally have to train someone and pay them and teach them how to take your place, which is kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, you're like, all right, I have to pay someone to replace me, and I don't really want to be replaceable.
Right.
So you train them to take your place, but then that allows you to go to the next level. And I think you can really speak on that with some of the stuff that you're doing.
I'll be honest. I'm like 1 for 9 in hiring people. And like in the past, I've had to like tell people, I'm sorry, like I got to move on because, you know, the person wasn't really fulfilling the role. But looking back, it's all my fault because I'm the business owner. I'm the founder. I know how to do everything, right? And I bring someone on my team and I say, okay, take on this massive workload that I've been overflowing myself with for the last 6 months. I need you to take this off my hands. And then you're like, okay, now go do it. And you know, there's not really much communication there.
But then they might not know what they're doing.
And they never do.
Yeah, and then you're like, you know, like, why aren't you doing what I'm paying you to do?
Right, and it's not that those people are bad at their job. It's that the business owner, me, I haven't told them
you
what I
have
expect.
standards that you haven't like told them about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think on strike like 8, I found you, and you know, we found a good middle ground where, you know, I think what's so good about you is you like anticipate the person's needs and take in the directions and kind of match the two, which is awesome. But,
well, I came in with the skill that was already able to benefit your business, and obviously that's evolved and come to something that's even more beneficial for you. But there wasn't much of like the training period right up front. So in that period of the risk and the reward, it wasn't like, all right, I'm paying this guy, we're not seeing any results. It was kind of just like, boom, right away we started seeing results because I was able to come in with my skill set, which like heavily complemented your skill set, and there wasn't too much of a training time. You know, obviously there's a learning curve, but not too much of a training time to that, which definitely made like a big difference.
Yeah,
and when we look back on it, at least.
Yeah, when we look back, hindsight's always 20/20. Like, and the people that I had to kind of like not work with anymore, like it's completely my fault. And it's just something that I've learned throughout the process. And yeah, it's definitely a big learning curve for me there.
Yeah, I think I can say the same because I like kind of hired like 3 other people, but I'm really only working with one, and it's not because the other people are bad at what they do, but it's just because, you know, I didn't really know like the direction that I wanted to put them in, and then, you know, like I give them one thing that they've never done, and then they obviously don't do it correctly because they've never done it.
And then you're like, why did you do this?
You know, like, why did I bring you on? But it's like, well, obviously, like you need to learn because I didn't just pick up where you are. Like I had to learn to get to where I am.
Yeah.
So
I'd say like one of the biggest takeaways from that is make sure your highest priority is your people. Like, so if you're not happy, if you are working too many hours and I'm giving you too much to do, that's like one of the worst things for my business that could ever happen, is for me to like overload you, scare you away, and lose someone that's good at what they do just because I'm trying to squeeze out every drop of them. So really, we're in the people business. We're in the business of providing a job for someone that they do well and that they're happy with so that they continue to do it. And that's what a lot of business owners don't get. They're like, Gary Vee's like, we're grinding, we're working 16-hour days. And not to hate on Gary Vee, but I don't agree with make your employees work 16-hour days or else they're not good enough. Like you said, you probably work 6 to 8 hours a day. Like that's a normal, comfortable work day.
Yeah, for sure. And it allows time to do other things because let's face it, all your life isn't grind and hustle because you're just going to burn yourself out. Yeah. Like, and if you burn yourself out, then what good are you? Like, you're not going to like what you do. You're going to have to find something completely different to do. And, you know, I don't want to face burnout. I'm sure you don't want to face burnout.
No, it's not a good situation.
And going on top of that with what Ben was saying, and this is something that I've noticed with not just myself, but with other people too that he's been working with is, you know, obviously he has a bar, he has requirement, but he's not like, and he wants to work with motivated people that want to do their job, but he's not like this boss that's like, do this, slave driver, you know, like he's a leader. He leads you in the right direction. He's a business owner, you know, what it should be, like not a boss.
Right. It's a collaborative. Literally, when you're the boss, you work for your employees. Like you can't just pawn everything off on people and expect like, okay, I'm going to automate, sit on the beach and have it happen. That's realistically never going to happen. You need to,
because you're the one with the plan. So you know the direction that you want to go.
Exactly.
They don't.
You need to work with. Okay, catch up with. All right, fix. It's a constant work in progress between you training and them doing.
100%.